Why NCAA athletes should get paid. Background. NCAA stands for National Collegiate Athletic Association. It was founded on March 31st, 1906 as Intercollegiate Athletic Association. It was renamed NCAA in 1910. It currently regulates 1,281 institutions nationwide. It is considered the governing body of college sports. Payment and endorsement of college athletes. Under NCAA rules, players cannot accept compensations for playing. Players may not also endorse products, receive special treatment by companies, coaches, or other employees/brands. If there are any violations of the NCAA rules, suspension or disqualification are inflicted on a player. The penalty typically could include suspension from competition. Exploitation.
Hey friends in high legal places, let's get college athletes some cash, shall we? The NCAA v. Ed O'Bannon and plaintiff's lawsuit begins today, so let's figure out what it could mean for college players, past, present, and future. Ed O'Bannon, the former UCLA basketball star, and a series of plaintiffs are suing the NCAA mostly to gain control over their likeness. What does that mean? They want to get paid via TV revenue, via video game revenue, for the use of their pictures and accomplishments and themselves in video games and on TV. They want a chunk of that pie. The NCAA is arguing that they don't need to pay their talent labor. Seems troubling to me. So what is the NCAA trying to argue? They're saying it's their First Amendment right to broadcast their games however they'd like to and pay or not pay whoever they'd like to. Judge already threw that out pre-trial. Then they wanted to say the big sports fund the small sports. Judge threw that out as well because schools are paying so much money to coaches and facilities. And make no mistake, they're spending a ton of cash. So now, the crux of the O'Bannon and plaintiffs' argument is that the NCAA is being anti-competitive and essentially a monopoly because players really have no other outlet to play high-level college sports and get paid. The NCAA needs to prove that the way they are running college sports is perfect for integrating athletics and higher learning. What happens if the O'Bannon team wins? Well, licensing happens for college athletes. They're going to get a chunk of that TV pie, which can get up to hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars over the life of a contract. And if the NCAA wins, basically it's the status quo. Oh, and they have to deal with a bunch of other lawsuits that are still pending. And finally, this is what should happen. Get paid. Everybody get money. Aw, yeah.
Exploitation. Ed O'Bannon versus NCAA. Ed O'Bannon is a former UCLA basketball player. He claimed that they used his likeness from the 1995 UCLA basketball team in one of the NCAA EA basketball video games. More athletes joined the case. Ed O'Bannon was the lead plaintiff in this case. EA Arts as well as NCAA agreed on a $40 million settlement. In 2016, EA paid off the players who were used in the past 10 years of the NCAA/EA branded games. This also included basketball and football. The ESPN's article, EA Sports will still score even more financial touchdowns without NCAA. They made the comparison that EA and NCAA using NCAA players, athletes, without paying them for their likeness is like not paying an actor for being in a big movie. The average payout for each of the NCAA athletes was around $1,000. NCAA's Money Monster. In 2014, NCAA reported a revenue of $989 million. The NCAA had a little over $80 million in surplus. 90% of this money comes from the men's basketball tournament in March, dubbed March Madness. While money goes back into the programs, students do not benefit from this in any way. Approximately 80% of the NCAA's profits come from March Madness. Student life. When involved in intercollegiate sports, student athletes cannot hold jobs. This means that students have no way of making money or supporting themselves financially if their parents cannot. Student athletes spend much of their time in college working out, going to practice, chalk talks, and many more activities having to do with the team. Student athletes not only have to keep in physical shape, but also mental shape in their academics, which makes juggling sports and academics extremely hard to do. Fun fact, Per year, 110,000 athletes are being paid approximately $4 out of $426 million. On the other hand, coaches, per year, about 535 of them are paid out of $440 million. D1 schools can afford it. The chart to the right shows the schools from the Final Four's revenue by sport. These are just 4 of the many schools that make millions on college sports. Most Division I schools are public, with the exception of Duke and a handful of others. Being that most are university or state schools, they hold a nonprofit status. Schools spend tens of millions of dollars on new facilities, uniforms, and other equipment just to spend money so they can hold that nonprofit status. A perfect example is actually Alabama's university. In their locker room, they have a player's lounge as well, which has a massive jacuzzi and all state-of-the-art things, including a water fountain. A plan that could work. Every men's basketball and football team would have a salary cap. Basketball would be $650,000 and men's football would be $3 million. Each athlete would have a minimum of $25,000 per year, though scholarships would decline slightly. After paying everyone the base salary, half of the cap would be used up. Since you have half the cap left, you could use the remaining funds to give a player you think is good or that you want to draft into the program more money as an incentive. This would instead put the money in the player's hands. The NCAA, which is a college athletes union, would have more power and would have the right to bargain for college athletes, thus making salary caps legal. Control of self-image. If NCAA is not able to directly pay athletes, there is no harm in letting them endorse themselves. Instead of payment, NCAA could adopt the Olympic model. This gives athletes an outlet to make money. The Olympic model allows athletes to control their self-image and make money off of the self-endorsements. If a structured payment of athletes is forced, most Division I schools would not have a problem paying. Smaller division universities, such as D2 and D3, could not afford to pay athletes. But this also would give them a way to pay the athletes without actually having to pay them.